finds Allen Robinson to get it down to the 35. So Bears would set up a 43-yard field goal for Cody Parkey. And Parkey, who had just made this right before the Eagles called a timeout to ice him, misses it. Upright, crossbar, miss, off the post. Sixth time that's happened this season for Cody Parkey. Heartbreak in Chicago as the Eagles win the game 16-15. They are moving on to face the Saints next week. Here is Cody Parkey on that season-ending miss.
That's the worst, one of the worst feelings in the world to let your team down. So I feel terrible. I'm going to continue to put things in perspective, continue to just put my best foot forward and just sleep at night knowing that I did everything in my power this week to go and make that kick. And for whatever reason, at the crossbar and the upright, and I still couldn't do it. So, yeah, I feel terrible.
I draw my strength from, those guys in the huddle, just look in their eyes, the belief they have, not only in me, but in one another. And knowing that, this was a crazy game. There's a lot of adversity. I mean, this is one of the most hostile environments I've played in. Their fans came out, and, we still had a lot of support here too, but it was, I'll sleep well tonight for sure.
Cece, we've been doing this show together for a year and a half. I can count on one hand how many times something in the NFL has actually surprised you. Did this result surprise you, Eagles beating the Bears in the way they did it?
The result didn't surprise me. The way the game ended with a kicker that used to play with Philadelphia and kick very, very well for them. And the number of times that he's hit some part of the goalpost this year, and for it to end like that, now that was surprising. That was shocking. But this Philadelphia team is very, very talented. Their offensive line played probably their best game that they've played in a couple months yesterday. And not just in the numbers. They didn't run the ball, dominate. No, but they were going against the best defense that I would call the most frightening defense in the NFL. And they took advantage of some of the replacement that they had in the secondary. So, no, I wasn't surprised. Nick Foles did a good job, and they had a great game plan as far as getting the ball out of his hand, spreading the ball around to all the different receivers, trying to attack all parts of the field. I thought Philadelphia and their staff and this team collectively, if you look at the special teams, if you look at the defense, and now look at the offense, we give too much credit to the quarterbacks. I know we do it week in, week out, day in and day out. There's no way that you have to be surprised this Philadelphia team, because they're very, very talented, that they would be able to go to Chicago, the least experienced team in the playoffs, and be able to win.
If you would ask me before the game who I expected to win, I'd have said the Bears. I picked the Bears. I think we all thought the Bears would win. So that part surprised me. If you'd asked me 10 minutes into the game how confident I am the Bears are going to win, I'd have said not very at all.
Why?
Because the moment Philly took that first drive down the field, I know they didn't get a touchdown, but I thought that opening drive was incredibly important, showing they could move the football, that they were not going, they had a game plan for Khalil Mack, and it wasn't going to be we have to double team him every play. They did a good job on Khalil Mack, as they've done on elite pass rushers over the last 6 weeks, holding guys like DeMarcus Lawrence, Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt, Khalil Mack, Ryan Kerrigan to a combined 1 sack and just 6 quarterback hits in 6 games against those guys leading into this game. Jason Peters did a good job. They did a good job scheming to where Khalil Mack couldn't wreck the game. And you saw, okay, Philly's going to be able to move the ball at least a little bit. If Philly's defense plays well and or if Mitch Trubisky plays poorly, this is going to be a tight game throughout. Now, with all that said, the Bears obviously could have won it. This is something where you said, you've said many times before, it's things like this that make you, for lack of a better term, hate team sports. Like, now Mitch Trubisky gets labeled can't win a playoff game. And I know he threw for 300 yards, but how many times did he almost throw the game away? And now he's 0-1 with a home playoff loss to a backup quarterback. But the narrative's totally flipped if Cody Parkey makes that field goal.
If he does his job.
Okay, yes, I know. You have no love lost for kickers that don't do their job.
I mean, besides his mom, his wife, or something, like, who is today?
No, I understand. So if Cody Parkey makes his field goal, which is his job, understand, then there is no more Nick Foles discussion. There's no more Foles versus Wentz. All of it, and this is, by the way, and here's where the Bears, speaking of guys doing their jobs, this is where the Bears front office, which has done a tremendous job, has to take a little bit of ownership of this. Going into the playoffs, which kicker had missed the most kicks in the NFL? Cody Parkey, who's a guy that, of all the kickers this week, and aside from maybe the Badgley kid in Los Angeles with the Chargers, that you had the least confidence in. Cody Parkey.
Who did just this again 4 times in that Lions game this season.
Cody Parkey. And so, but they had given him a big extension this offseason. It's probably one of the reasons they stuck with him throughout the year, when kickers usually, if they're having a tough season, they're just gone. And now your season's over, and it's an enormous squandered opportunity for the Bears. But credit to the Eagles. 4th and goal, season on the line, after they get stuffed on the goal line. If there was ever going to be a narrative that made sense, it's the Bears defense in a goal line stand. That's how they move on. And Golden Tate, a guy that the Eagles front office went out and got. He made a play and Foles made a throw.
Yeah, Golden Tate, I want you to watch this route that he ran, because he knew they were running. This is the most famous route. Bill Walsh ran this, called Quick Right Sprint Team, R17, where you put 2 of your receivers to the field, you sprint the quarterback, and he's going to throw the ball on timing right in front of the pylon, and the wide receiver decides. Golden Tate knows that the DB has outside leverage. He looks inside as if he's going to run a route inside, and then snaps it off outside. That's the overall experience. A veteran wide receiver in a critical situation, a great play call, taking advantage of a young player who didn't have much experience. And that Chicago secondary, it came into the game banged up, all right, and the Eagles were able to take advantage of these reserve players that were in the game.
Look, you and I talked earlier, and I said, what do you think about how Nick Foles played? And you said, the Eagles team played very, very well. But when we use the word, and we laugh when we say it, but when we use the word magical in Nick Foles, things like what happened with Cody Parkey, that folds into this whatever is surrounding Nick Foles and his ability to get the team to play and to win. So I do have to ask what you thought of the way Nick Foles played and what this now means moving forward.
I thought this was Nick Foles individually, his worst game of this run, his worst game of the must-win games. They've now won 7 consecutive elimination games with Nick Foles at the quarterback. This was clearly his worst game. Now, it was also clearly against the toughest defense he's faced. The only